Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know when you guys are painting, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap up our project. Okay. So this time in the project, we have all the colors that we need. This was what we did on the first class, also the second class. Now we're pretty much just gonna wrap this up. Okay. One of the things that we're gonna be using a lot today is gonna be grays. All right. But grays are not just black and white, at least the grays that we're looking for, they're not just black and white. We actually want to have a lot of colors with our grays. Again, in your studio or in your house, you're probably gonna have these round brushes, which is probably what I want you to be using today. So they look a little something like this. If you guys have flats that look a little something like this, they're actually pretty good, all right? These brushes here, they're really good to give you some nice transition and not have to just block in what your old color used to be, okay? I'm not gonna use this, even though I am really, wanting to use this brush. If you guys have it at the house, it's probably gonna be better than these two, but most likely you're just gonna have these two at the house, right? So again, let's go down our list of colors. So we have titanium white, we have cadmium yellow, cadmium red, cobalt blue. Over here we have burnt sienna, and we have the black. So these are pretty much all the colors that we've been using before. How's my plate gray? My plate is actually gray by just mixing all the colors on the palette at the end of the class. I'm always gonna have a paper towel handy because with acrylic, it's kind of a little bit like watercolor. Too much water might be too bad, might be good for some things like the first session, but it might be very bad for now. Or too little water might be good for now, but not so good for the beginning. So it's always something that you guys want to kind of be getting used to and kind of changing up a little bit. All right, so here we go. So the background is pretty much what we're going to be working with, and we are just going to start with our darkest value, okay? And believe it or not, you guys, this dark value is probably the darkest, and it is probably where we want this color to be, okay? So guess what? If you don't have to change this color, don't change this color, all right? If you guys have to change this color, go ahead and change it. Make it a little darker, a little lighter, but I almost have the right value here, okay? So what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start blocking in the other bigger grays, the lighter whites, the lighter grays, and all that good stuff, right? So the rule here is always look for your dark colors first. Once you find your dark colors, you just add a little bit of white and a little bit of something to get your next color. And then to get your next lighter color, you find a little bit of white and a little bit of something just to go lighter and lighter and lighter, okay? So I'm gonna grab my round brush here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of my black. So my first gray that I wanna look for needs to be very dark, okay? We want the color to be pretty dark over here. And we also want it to be ever so subtle, a little bit on the purple side, okay? This is gonna be my darkest color. So let's talk about what we have to do to make this gray a little purple. So black has blue and it has brown. Usually it has complementary colors. So if this thing has blue, what colors do we need to make purple? Red and blue. So in reality, we don't have to add too much to this color, only a little bit of red. And I think I went overboard with the red. So I'm gonna just add a little bit of black again and kind of start from scratch. Don't worry if you guys make these mistakes. These are common mistakes. If the color is not purple enough, I'm actually kind of happy with it. But if you want it just to be a tad bit more purple, you could always add a tad bit more blue to it, okay? So somewhere around here, I actually like my color. So I'm gonna start by just doing some of these shadows just a little darker, okay? Not a lot of them, just little touches. Just remember the rule. Wherever your cast shadow starts, that's where it wants to be the little darker, okay? So here, this is the end of the table. Here it's next to the apple right here. So right about these areas, sorry, right about these areas, that's where we actually want to keep your darkest color, all right? Not too much. I mean, everything else should actually be a little lighter. I even think This little guy over here should be a little lighter. So I'm just gonna add a tad bit more white. All right, here we go. All right, really good. All right, so now let's talk about the other colors, all right? So a lot of the colors in the picture, if you guys actually look at the actual reference, a lot of the colors in the picture are actually atmospheric colors. So gray is just black and white, and that's very neutral. That's actually very surreal. Usually grays have a little bit of color from something. It could be from the sky, it could be from the room, it could be from a lot of these little things happening. In our case, it's actually from the room that we were working from. So now I'm just gonna add a little green because we have a little bit of atmospheric green. And same concept. I mean, I don't actually need to add blue to it, remembering that my black has blue, okay? So see how my color looks a little greeny here, all right? It's actually pretty good. So if my color looks a little green, just a little green, I don't wanna make a green either. I don't want a green color, all right? I'm gonna block my area from this diagonal line that I made. Ooh, a little too dark. I like the color, but I think the value needs some help, all right? So I'm just gonna go along the edge here, just a little bit more white still, and possibly a little yellow. Oops, don't get away from here. There we go. And again, have fun with the way you guys are mixing your color. If it's not perfect, you know, don't stress out. It's like, what is missing? These colors are really easy. If they're missing something, it's just probably white. All right. All right. So here we go. Here we go. So I'm scumbling. This is a very fun technique. Remember, we're using classical techniques right here. So scumbling means moving your brush in a semicircle. You guys are gonna say, is that a technique? It actually is a technique, all right? It's a really old technique. The Renaissance painters used to use this technique called scumbling. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. So I just did the darkest gray in the lighter areas, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna still bring more white to my color, a little bit of black. Remember, I'm mixing it onto itself. If I don't mix it onto itself, oh boy, I'm in trouble, all right? I'm gonna add a little blue to it. I wanna make it just a little cold. If you mix your color completely in a different area, you're not gonna be able to compare this color to anything else, and it might be just a little too dramatic, all right? All right, here we go. I like the color. So now I'm gonna start going around my pear here and just to the corner, and gently I'm gonna start scumbling the color in. Scumble is the name of the technique. It's just pretty much moving your brush in semicircles. This gives you a little bit of transparency. It also gives you a little bit of blending. If you guys just block your color in, they tend not to blend very good. But if you guys scumble your color in, it tends to blend in a little better, okay? So now I'm just gonna bring a little bit of this same gray just on the edge of the table here, right about here, okay? Just kind of work with your corners. I need more color, so make sure you guys, if you need more color, make sure you guys make more color. And don't forget, the color is really simple. It's just gray plus a little something, okay? This gray has a little bit of red, but more importantly, it has blue. All right. And scumble this guy in. Here we go. I'm gonna even lighten this one. I like this new color that I made. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lighten this guy in. I'm gonna fill this corner up. If your color on the shadow wasn't good enough, this is the good enough color, okay? Or the good enough value. So if this wasn't good enough, I could just bring some of these values in here, just add a little bit of these values in here. Like I said, I do like mine though, so I don't need to change something that I actually like, all right? So here we go. Let's start going lighter, even, and a little bit more purple, okay? So this time I'm gonna add a tiny bit of blue and a tiny bit of red. Take a look at how I'm grabbing my colors. When I'm grabbing my colors from here, I'm not grabbing my red from the big chunk. I'm not grabbing my blue from the big chunk. I'm actually grabbing them from just these little bits that I have because I mostly need white, okay? So now, ooh, really good. I like this color here. I like the value. The colors, like I said, it's not too, if you guys have a slightly different color, a little bit more blue, you could say, just tell your friends that the sky was blue at that time, all right? There's no need to overthink that. All right, so I'm gonna follow this guy in. I'm gonna move the color around and just use a little water here. Don't grab too much water though, because too much water will actually make your color transparent. And if you guys make your color transparent, you're not gonna be able to see what you guys are actually doing. Once it dries, it'll go back to its original shape, all right? Or its original value. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna go just the same color, just a little lighter. So just more white, not even anything. I'm not even gonna change anything. I'm happy with the color. I just need to change the value here. All right, just make sure that pear pops out a little bit more. All right, all right, here we go. All right, so now let's talk about the next color. As my color starts getting lighter, it also starts getting more yellow. Remember, you guys could be pausing the video as you guys go on. It's a YouTube video. You guys have the option of pausing as you guys need to. But basically what I'm asking here is, as you go lighter, light has a color, okay? Sometimes the color is cold. Sometimes the color, cold mean blue. Sometimes the color is neutral, which is those kind of new bulbs that we can buy. And sometimes the color is actually warm, which is natural light or atmospheric light. My light starts to get warm, so I'm gonna start using more white, but also the tiniest amount of yellow, okay? Just a little bit more yellow and mixed onto the same color. Remember you guys, if you guys mix the color here, 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 and there, but they're not mixed from the same color, they're not gonna be connected, okay? They're actually gonna be extremely different. If you guys mix the colors the way I'm mixing them, onto each other, onto each other, onto each other, your colors are gonna match and they're gonna be very, very cohesive. They're gonna feel like they go together, all right? If you guys don't mix them from each other, they're gonna feel very disconnected, all right? So here we go, pretty good. I got a little bit of yellow. If I wanted here, I could add just a little bit of white onto this color. If I like the color, but I just feel it's too dark, I could just add a little bit of white onto it and move it around. All right, color looks pretty good. It's beginning to lighten up my picture. And remember, you guys, I'm not cleaning my brush either because I want some of that little mud everywhere. All right, so I'm gonna go back and check things that have problems. So this area here, to me, looks too dark, all right? The color's not bad, but the value, to me, does look too dark. So I'm gonna go again with a little white and back to that little old gray. And I'm not gonna try, I'm just gonna lighten it up. Remember, it's not pure white. It's still mixed with your color, but I am gonna lighten this up. And as I lighten this color up, what happens to my shadow? It gets visible again, all right? If I don't lighten this, the shadow's almost as dark as that color next to it, and it tends to look just a little too flat, okay? But now by having a lighter contrast, now we have a darker shadow. All right, here we go. Now you guys, we're gonna go even lighter and even warmer. For this part of the picture. This is the first part that you guys actually need to clean your brush. So I'm just gonna go in here. Imagine you're painting inside of this water as crazy as you can, okay? Just paint inside and just take the excess water off. All right, so I'm gonna dry my brush again. So now I'm gonna go white, all right? This time I'm not mixing onto itself, but I am gonna pick up a little bit of this warm gray that I made over here. Just the tiniest of warm gray. Just the tiniest of warm grays right here. All right, here we go. Just a little bit. It's mostly white. I mean, when you see this thing, your eye should see almost nothing but a warm white. And I'm just gonna make like a little halo or a little aura around here. Just with a little bit of my warm color. Ooh, I like the warm. It balances the picture out. Without this thing, the whole picture's all cold and boring. Because even the warm here is more green than it is warm. It's not so yellow. All right, stay in your frame. Don't forget, if you guys like your painting and you guys actually want to put it on the internet or someplace, social media, you want to make sure you have a little frame, okay? Because this little frame looks really good on your piece, but only if you guys leave it. If you guys actually go over, then you guys are just gonna have to go to the end of the picture. All right, so here we go. Now I'm gonna go to my lightest of my lightest color, okay? The lightest of the lightest, the one that hurts your eye when you see it, is actually gonna be a yellow green. All right, so I'm gonna use a little blue, mostly yellow, by the way, but that's just the base color. Right now, what I'm really gonna grab is a ton. I wanna see how light the color looks. Yeah, it looks pretty light. So I'm just gonna grab a ton of color, a ton of white, sorry, not a ton of color, a ton of white. I really only want to make my color just a little green. Once I do that, I'm gonna start next to my subject matters, which are gonna be my apple and my pear. And be very careful, because if you guys did a bad job painting the apple or the pear, not a bad job, but let's say you guys went outside of your boundaries, now it's the time when you clean that up, okay? You wanna make sure you guys go right next to them. You guys clean this thing up really nicely, all right? And then you work the color out. Oops. If you guys make a little mistake like that, just dip your brush in water and then just go over it. It should come off. It should come off when it's wet, okay? If you let it dry, you guys are gonna have to repaint the area. All right, here we go. Try to go as close as you can. And once I have this color on, I'm gonna do one last little step. This part should be really fun, the last little step. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with this last little step, I'm gonna use some of this warm right here. I think it's too yellow. So I'm gonna use some of that warm just to warm it up. So my last little step is I'm just gonna go with pure white, okay? Just gonna drop my pure white here. Really heavy, really heavy. So what's happening here is thick paint is actually the lightest paint. One, it is opaque, so you cannot see through it. Two, it's actually like a little sculpture. So it actually has some dimension to it, which makes it look whiter even than what it is, okay? But I'm not pushing this white all over the place. I'm keeping it surrounded by that yellow, because that yellow is still the glow of the color, still the blue. So I want to make sure that I keep that glow on there. I scumble this guy away, and I'm pretty much all set with that, okay? I'm pretty happy with this. I'm pretty happy where most of my objects are. I'm not quite done with my shape, but I wasn't gonna do my shape till, or the shapes, the forms, the pear and the apple, till after I'm done with this part, okay? So I'm gonna do one little thing to my apple. So I'm gonna add a little brighter red. Last time, remember, you guys did a muddy red, like a blackish red. This time I'm gonna make a very transparent red, and I just wanna make this bright, okay? So I'm really just using red and water, all right? That's all I'm really using. And what I wanna do here is I just wanna brighten the intensity of the bright color of the red, that center part, the one that actually light is hitting pretty well. All right. Make sure you guys scumble your edges around in here. Make sure you guys go all around. So that's just water and red, you guys. Nothing else. It really doesn't need anything else. Nothing. Okay? So I like it. The apple is more red now. So what I'm gonna do also is I'm gonna make a little gray. This part you guys don't have to do. This is just me really wanting to finish this in a really nice way. So I'm just gonna add a little sienna, which is the orange, brown, and black. And I'm just gonna do a little brown color over here, just to show that not everything is this big flat black, but there's actually some color to it, okay? Now, if I want to, I'm gonna go a little bit more black. So very little red, a lot of black. Okay, make some areas darker. For example, I wanna make this edges darker just to sharpen my picture. I probably wanna make this little areas darker just to sharpen my picture. And again, it's a lot of water, not a lot of color, okay? If I use a lot of color, then it's not gonna blend. And I'm gonna work it out. Right now, it might not look like it's blending. You guys might see a huge black, but really what you guys are seeing is the water. That's what you guys are seeing. When I'm done with this, when I'm done with the pear, you guys are actually gonna see that the black starts to disappear. Okay? It starts to disappear. So let's take a look. It looks pretty good. All right. And finally, I'm just gonna go into my pear. So what am I gonna do to my pear? Thing looks pretty good. I don't wanna go too crazy with, oh, let me just do a little something. Oh, my third thought. Just let me do a little light pink here. And I'm gonna add low light. Just another different type of light that's not as light as the highlight, but just something that breaks the whole big red on this part. All right. So once I'm done with this, in my highlight, I'm gonna add a little bit of white and yellow, just like we did on the background. I'm gonna go really light and yellow around here. And just in the center of this, look at this. It's a chunky paint, it's really chunky, okay? I'm just gonna drop a chunky highlight on there, okay? I'm gonna clean this off, really good, all right? Now, on the other side here of my pear, I'm gonna add some grays. Remember, there's atmospheric color, so not everything should just be green. I'm gonna add a little cold gray. So I'm gonna go back to my black and my blue. I could have a little green to it, okay? Here we go. Make sure your color's really nice and neutral. You don't wanna have a lot of color. Basically, what I'm thinking about when I paint, if my color looks too nice, like it actually looks like color, I'm probably doing something wrong. Most of my colors should look muddy, ugly. And what happens is, we might not like to make ugly colors, but ugly colors in all of reality, they are very real. So I don't know if you guys are noticing that my pear, it's looking kind of real. It's not fake. It's not, it's actually, well done. The reason for that being is that my colors are really muddy. And I love working with muddy colors. You guys should already know that from the studio. I'm always talking about, oh, that color's too nice, we gotta change it. And that's only for real stuff, by the way. If you guys wanna make nice stuff, you guys wanna make fun stuff, stylized stuff, then you guys could play around with that concept. But if we're making real stuff like we're doing right now, this acrylic, don't forget, it's all real, or leaning towards reality. You wanna make sure that there's a lot of grace to this thing. Okay. I think the background is too similar, so what I'm doing is I'm making that light gray again, and I'm gonna see if I could make the background just a little lighter, because I want my pear to come out. I don't want the background to come out. I don't need an exciting background. I need an exciting pear. All right, here we go. All right, so put my color there. I don't want to spend hours though having to change all these other colors. Not hours, by the way, but I don't want to spend too much time changing all these other colors. So I'm just moving my color in with that scumbling technique. And just, we could call it a little circle technique. That works fine with me. All right. And then you could just clean your brush and just with water, move your color around. Alrighty guys, and that's pretty much it. I mean, anything that you want to do is like, ooh, this gray is a little too hard on there, blend it in with a little white, or maybe it's a little too nice. I want to make sure that it's a little muddy green, add a little yellow to it, you know, make it muddy green. Don't just have this really nice green color to it, and play around with your color, guys. The one thing you want to remember is to build colors onto themselves. If you're not building colors onto themselves, they're going to give you a really hard time to actually blend things together. But if you build them onto themselves, they're naturally going to blend for you. So you actually don't even have to do anything. Work less. That's the goal. Work smart, but work less. I don't need you guys to be working a lot. I need you guys to be working the right way. All right? And have fun. I mean, I'm pretty much all done with my pear. I'm just tweaking it and playing around with it. Don't forget, there's many parts in this video where you guys, if I'm moving too fast, it's okay. You guys could pause the video. You guys could give it a little pause. Make sure you guys try to catch up. Don't try to work fast. That's not the goal. The goal is trying to work right. So, you know, just trying to work once, but trying to work right. So if I'm going just a little too fast, pause the video here and there. Pause the video, pause the video. That's okay. I'm not saying you cannot do that. I'm not even wanting you guys not to do that, right? And then just finally, I want to make this a little more real, less illustrative. So I'm just gonna blend this yellow into that green. That way it's more real and less illustrative. So what I'm trying to get rid of is that line there. So now my color has texture, has reality, and it has transitions. All right, and oh, I don't know if you guys want to do the stems. I think we should. Spent so much time doing this painting. It's like, hey, let's forget the stems. Ooh. All right, so I'm just gonna add brown and black. Make the stems as thick as you want. And then just to add more weight to them, I'm just gonna go over with a little more black and just do your stems. Okay, stem here, stem there, and I think you guys are done. So remember, this is a still life from the studio, so you guys could actually sign it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put your name right here using your brush, and we're all done, all right? So spend good time on this project, you guys. It's not a rushing project. You guys are almost done with this. There's no need for you guys to rush this, all right? Have a good time. Be safe out there, and we'll try to see you for sure next week. But any questions that you guys have, please email us, and or you could use the Google Classroom to get in contact with us, and make sure that you guys take a photo of your work and let me see what you guys came up to. During the weeks, expect some just some fun videos also for drawing other mediums. That way, if you guys don't have acrylic, you guys still have the ability to draw. Last week, I think it was chibis. This week, you guys have to log in. All right, take care. Bye-bye.